Pre-market clinical trials operate in a closed environment. They test drugs on small, carefully selected groups of patients. While this establishes baseline efficacy and safety, this tightly controlled setting cannot simulate the biological chaos of the general public. To maintain clean data, these trials routinely exclude specific demographics: children, the elderly, and pregnant women. Because the sample size is limited and the timeframe is short, rare adverse effects, or complications stemming from chronic long-term use, often remain completely hidden until the drug reaches mass commercialization. The reality is that the true stress test of any pharmaceutical product's safety profile only begins the moment it is released to the open market. Managing the risk of this transition requires replacing passive observation with an active nationwide surveillance grid designed to catch what the clinical trials missed. Pre-market science is statistically insufficient to guarantee absolute long-term safety. To effectively protect its citizens, a nation must build and maintain a robust post-market ecosystem. This is the December 2025 update to the Algerian Guide to Good Pharmacovigilance Practices. This version establishes the formal regulatory architecture for the nation, updating and replacing all prior pharmacovigilance laws. It is designed to harmonize rigorous international standards, specifically the European Union's Good Pharmacovigilance Practices and ICH guidelines, with the specific operational realities of the Algerian healthcare system. Its primary objective is to continuously evaluate the benefit-risk ratio of all pharmaceutical products and rapidly identify any emerging safety signals. The 2025 directive ends fragmented reporting. It establishes a mandatory multi-stakeholder ecosystem where real-world clinical data directly and immediately informs national regulatory law. This new pharmacovigilance system operates as a hub-and-spoke architecture, connecting 8 interdependent groups of healthcare actors. At the center of this network sits the National Center of Pharmacovigilance and Material Vigilance, or the CNPM. The CNPM serves as the state's primary analytical engine, processing raw data to drive national healthcare defense. Its core operational mandate is to ingest raw incident reports, conduct thorough investigations, and apply standardized methods to establish scientific causality between a drug and an adverse event. Beyond processing incoming reports, the CNPM evaluates the complex risk management plans submitted by pharmaceutical companies for their products. Using the data it processes, the center then designs specific risk minimization measures to proactively address emerging threats. Without the CNPM's specialized analytical capacity to filter and assess this information, the vast amount of data generated by the rest of the healthcare system would be nothing more than unusable noise. To function, that analytical core requires a constant stream of raw clinical data. This is provided by the external ingestion layer. The first critical input stream comes from healthcare professionals. Under the new framework, doctors, pharmacists, and midwives have a strict legal obligation to report any suspected adverse event to the CNPM without delay. This mandate goes far beyond severe reactions. It requires the reporting of expected and unexpected events, medication errors, therapeutic failures, and even cases of misuse or abuse. The second input stream comes from patients and patient associations. The 2025 framework empowers citizens to bypass medical intermediaries. If a patient experiences a side effect, they are encouraged to report it directly to the state. The third major input stream comes from pharmaceutical establishments. These operators are legally bound to maintain continuous vigilance over their own products throughout their entire life cycle, feeding safety data directly back to the center. This data flows inward through specific channels: yellow physical forms for drug reactions, white forms for vaccines, and direct digital integration through web portals. Together, this ingestion layer turns every hospital bed, local pharmacy, and patient home into an active sensor within a national safety grid. Once an individual case safety report arrives at the CNPM, it enters a rigorous 4-step processing sequence. Step 1 is validation. The report is only considered viable if it contains 3 elements: an identifiable patient, a specific suspect product, and a clear description of the event. Step 2 is investigation. The CNPM contacts the original reporter to extract the critical clinical context that is often missing from the initial form. This deep follow-up is mandatory for all severe incidents, particularly post-vaccinal adverse events. An event is classified as severe if it results in death, creates a life-threatening condition, requires hospitalization, or causes congenital anomalies. Step 3 is causality assessment. Here, the CNPM applies standardized international protocols, like the WHO methods, to scientifically determine if the drug actually caused the specific event. Step 4 is reproducibility. Regional technical focal points are activated across different wilayas to hunt for similar, undisclosed cases, mapping the true scale of the issue. If an event is proven to be severe, highly frequent, or entirely unexpected, it triggers the Consultative Technical Committee for advanced expert review. This sequence acts as a strict scientific filter, stripping away coincidence and statistical noise to reveal validated, actionable threats to public health. Identifying a threat is only the first half of the equation. Once a danger is confirmed, the system must execute a response. This brings us to the execution layer, driven primarily by the National Agency of Pharmaceutical Products, or the ANPP. The ANPP holds the absolute regulatory authority to enforce safety. It can mandate product recalls, force critical updates to drug leaflets, and conduct targeted audits of pharmaceutical sites. They are supported by the Ministry of Health and the Central Pharmacy of Hospitals, who rapidly disseminate emergency alerts and physically manage nationwide stock freezes to stop the dangerous product from reaching patients. Data analysis without regulatory authority is an academic exercise. The ANPP and the Ministry provide the necessary enforcement power that makes the entire surveillance system effective. Zooming out, we can see how this architecture operates simultaneously across the entire country. The 2025 framework functions as a true closed-loop ecosystem, flowing seamlessly from raw data ingestion. Only through the synchronized collaboration of all 8 stakeholder groups can the state successfully maximize therapeutic benefits while actively minimizing harm. Strict adherence to this architectural framework is the ultimate mechanism protecting the Algerian population in an increasingly complex pharmaceutical landscape.